Once upon a time, there was a boy and a girl who loved each other dearly. Kai and Gerda were not siblings, yet they were closer than any brother and sister could be. They played together beneath the roses in the summer, and in winter they huddled close by the fire, whispering secrets only children could understand. The world was simple then, bright and warm, untouched by the creeping frost of sorrow. Their village sat nestled between rivers and fields, where the seasons moved gently, and winter, though cold, never seemed cruel. In spring, the rooftops dripped with fresh rain, and in autumn, golden leaves danced in the wind. But Gerda loved the summers best, when the two of them would lie in the garden beneath the roses, whispering stories of far-off lands and daring adventures. "One day, we'll travel the world together," Kai would say, his eyes bright with excitement. "We'll see mountains taller than the sky, and oceans that never end." And Gerda would smile, because in her heart she believed it. But sorrow came, as it always does, in the form of a shard of cursed ice. One winter, the sky darkened with an unnatural storm, and the wind carried a whisper that no one could quite understand. The magic mirror of a wicked sorcerer had shattered into countless pieces, and the wind scattered its shards across the world. A sliver found its way into Kai's heart, turning it cold as winter's breath. Another lodged in his eye, making him see only ugliness where once he saw beauty. At first, the changes were small. He grew quiet, distant. He no longer smiled at the summer roses, and when Gerda spoke of their dreams, he would only scoff. His laughter turned sharp, his words cruel. Then one bitter night, he was gone, stolen away by the Snow Queen's silent sleigh. Gerda searched the village, her voice hoarse from calling his name into the wind. The townsfolk whispered of strange things, of footprints in the snow that led nowhere, of shadows that stretched too long under the pale moonlight. But no one had seen him. He had vanished as if he had never been there at all. Gerda, heartbroken but determined, vowed to bring him home. She did not care how far she had to go, how fierce the winter storms became. She would find Kai. She had to. And so her journey began. The road stretched long and lonely before her, vanishing into a world of white. Snow fell endlessly, swirling in slow, deliberate patterns, as if the sky itself were watching her. She met strange people along the way. The kindly sorceress who tried to make her forget. The wild robber girl with a knife and a knowing smile. But there was something off about these encounters. A shivering wrongness that she could not place. The old sorceress had held her hands too tightly, whispering, "You have been here before, child." The robber girl had cocked her head, a flicker of recognition in her dark eyes. "Still chasing ghosts?" she had asked with a smirk before letting her go. Gerda dismissed these things. Her mind was fixed on Kai, trapped in the Snow Queen's palace. His heart locked in ice. She would find him. Yet sometimes she found herself somewhere she did not remember walking to. The landscape shifted strangely when she wasn't paying attention. Hadn't she already passed that frozen stream? Hadn't she spoken with the crow before? The snowflakes whispered in a language just beyond her understanding. At last, she reached the Snow Queen's palace, a cathedral of ice so perfect and still it could have been carved from the bones of winter itself. She walked its empty halls, her breath the only sound, her footsteps swallowed by the silence. But in the ice, she glimpsed shadows, figures that looked like her, frozen in mid-step, their eyes filled with despair. And then, there he was. Kai sat motionless on a frozen lake, his eyes empty, his lips slightly parted as though whispering some forgotten dream. Frost curled along his skin, and his once warm hands lay pale and motionless in his lap. But he was still her Kai. She knew he was. "Kai!" she cried, running to him. She placed her hands on his frozen face, and her tears fell hot upon his skin. "It's me. I've come for you." A shudder passed through him. His fingers twitched. Slowly, he turned his head, and his eyes, cold, distant, focused on her. Recognition flickered. His lips parted. "Gerda?" She sobbed with relief. Yes, it's me." And then, as if by magic, the ice on his heart began to melt. The color returned to his cheeks, and he looked at her as he once had, with warmth, with love. He was back. He was saved. Hand in hand, they ran from the palace, their feet barely touching the frozen ground. The snowstorm howled around them, but it did not matter. She had won. They would go home. But then, the ground beneath them cracked like a pane of glass. A terrible, deafening snap. They were falling. Gerda woke with a gasp. Snowflakes melted on her eyelashes. The world was quiet, a blank expanse of white stretching endlessly in all directions. Her heart pounded. Where was Kai? Had they escaped? Had she saved him? Something wasn't right. The snow, the wind, the way the trees bent beneath the weight of ice. It all looked too familiar. A sickening sense of wrongness coiled in her stomach. She had seen this place before. She had been here before. A whisper curled through the air as soft as snowfall. Again, the world blurred. She swayed, clutching her head. Flashes of memory, like broken shards of a mirror, flooded her mind. Kai frozen, her tears melting him, the palace cracking beneath them, the endless fall. She turned and saw something that stole the breath from her lungs. A frozen figure, half buried in the ice. A girl with tear-streaked cheeks, reaching for someone just out of reach. Her own face. "Number? No, no, no." A hand touched her shoulder. She turned sharply. A woman stood before her, draped in flowing white. Her face smooth as untouched snow. The Snow Queen. "No!" Gerda gasped, stepping back. I saved him. We escaped." The Snow Queen smiled, a slow, knowing thing. "Did you?" Gerda's breath came in short, frantic bursts. The memories, the cycles, unraveled before her. She had done this before. She had always done this before. She had melted Kai's heart 1,000 times, and each time, the world reset. She was trapped, forever searching, forever failing. Kai was gone. He had never truly been there. He was the bait, the dream that lured her back, over and over, deeper into the frost. And as the snow began to fall once more, Gerda took a step forward, her footprints covering those she had left behind, lost in an endless winter. Thank you for joining us in the world of Twilight Fables. If you enjoyed this tale and want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more.